All right, family, here we go. I'm gonna get settled here in this chair, get as close as I can to this little 15-watt lamp that's giving off like very little, if any, light. But my 369 spiral is in the background. Okay, because all my dreams go in there, so they can be projected into the unified field of consciousness. I recommend you check out Nassim Haramein for the unified field of consciousness, the so-called theory, which is actually a fact. And he proved it to the materialists and the reductionists using math. Imagine that. Anyway, so I want to talk to you a little bit about industries of the future. And here we go. This one here is called hemp. Hemp. H-E-M-P. And don't get that confused, family, with this other plant that looks like it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the THC. I'm not talking about the marijuana plant at all. This is strictly for fiber. Now, our economy used to be based on this in the United States. I'm just saying. The value of our currency was, at one point, backed by the production of hemp. What is a pound? What does that mean? What is a British pound? What is that? British sterling pound. It's saying that if I have a pound note from the central bank of the Bank of England, that is worth 1 pound of silver. So if you're going to have the idea is that there's some store of value behind that currency so that other people will take faith in it as a valuable measure of, using it for buying and selling. So in addition to the industries, I just want to caveat that this can actually be used for implementing a tangible national sovereign currency that we control the production and the price and the market caps and all that other stuff, right? Not the controllers who control the commodity prices of all food, all resources, everything on the planet, right? And they can just adjust those prices. So this goes back to, I mentioned a little bit about this in my crypto video. I talked about cryptos and the cryptocurrencies and gold and silver and the idea of a store of value and all this other stuff. This has much broader implications than just the following. Did you know that there are over 40,000 Impresa level or major international / national corporate Fortune 500 company type, right? Big, huge companies with thousands and thousands of employees. 40,000 of those types of industries with this one plant. And then from there, we have the cottage industries. So who knows how many untold hundreds of thousands of other cottage industries can spring up underneath these. So quite literally, this plant can fuel our economy. A brief introduction is that this plant, and here we go, and we can even pitch this to the reptiles who are standing in the way, talking about the fake climate change and the need to sequester carbon and all this other stuff, and to render the planet ultimately cut down all the trees because what are they doing? That the trees need to be cut down because it's something about carbon sequestering. I don't know. I cannot explain the logic of a reptile. There's no you'd have better sense getting through to a rock or a lint ball. But that's the difference between artificial intelligence and holistic intelligence. So 40,000 industries, major level industries, with the hundreds of thousands of cottage industries that follow behind of it. So if the British pound is based with the idea is that 1 pound is equivalent to the value of 1 pound of silver, then what about the industries of hemp? We're talking about the industries of an entire nation, which already, the value of the dollar, what is it based in? What do people think the idea behind the value of the dollar is? This us debt slaves and the GDP and the things that we create with our hands, the goods and services that we create. And we're literally a resource of the corporation in this regard. So for the dollar to continue, well, the dollar's been taken off the bat, so it's fair game now, right? I admit 4 years ago, they did not want me talking about this kind of stuff, but they crossed the line here when they took the dollar off of the list of the basket currencies. That's an all-out war on the dollar. And so in the right and the responsibility that we have to respond to such an act of violence and devastation and destruction of our economy, we have the right and responsibility to come up with solutions. And if we have our Corona connection, we can download all kinds of solutions for this. But I just wanted to give a little, is teaser the right word? I don't know. Yeah, I guess teaser, if that's the right word. So just give me an idea. And look, even for the reptiles, the petrochemical industry, the concrete industry, the fake fertilizer industry, all the toxic industries, the textile industries, all of it, all of this stuff that is being done in a toxic and destructive manner can be retooled so that it is no longer, not only no longer creating toxic environment, but it can reduce the overhead in some instances of some of these toxic industries. You don't even have to go out of business. You could stay in business. Just retool your industry, and we can increase your profits by a minimum of 1,000%, guaranteed, 1 year or less. Guaranteed. Some of the industries, guaranteed. Just no doubt about it. More even, right? But it's not a question anymore of win-lose. It's not a zero sum. This is about cooperation and not competition. This is about abundance instead of scarcity. So there's a lot of programming that's been installed, not just in our own skin suits, but those of our ancestors with regards to scarcity and the central bank's terror, of the central banks over the last couple, what's it been now? I don't know, since 1913 in the United States. But anyhow, so it's not the only one I'm really posing a threat to here would be the central banks. And we covered that in an earlier video about my game, my reality, my stage, my dream, and how their time on the stage is finished. And the Babylonian cursed money system is doing exactly what it's designed to do, which is to be systematically dismantled and destroyed. It's just in the divine order of things, right? And instead of just shrugging our shoulders and saying, what can we do about it? Well, this plant has the answers. So seed goes in the ground, and it goes from seed to harvest in 4 to 6 months. Now think about that from a perspective of creating furniture and lumber products. You don't have to wait 7 to 10 years for a pine tree, the cheapest type of wood that's susceptible to termites and all this other stuff. And you don't have to wait 80 to 100 to 1,000 years for a hardwood tree to grow up and fall over and cut it down, or cut it up and use it. This is 4 to 6 months, right? And there's already a guy doing this in the United States. At least one guy. And this would prevent, or it would stop the need for people to cut down the sacred trees. Now, once the plant goes into the ground, of course, for the carbon sequestering fan club of the reptiles agenda, we could argue it from a point and say, well, look, 1 acre of hemp sequesters X number of tons of carbon. I think it's like 1,000,000 tons or something like that. It's the most carbon sequestering plant on the planet. And then it takes that carbon and it returns it to the soil so that it restores the health of the soil simultaneously, which is everything, because that's where our food grows. And if you want healthy food, you need healthy soil. Of course, I do not recommend monocropping, and we could talk about that more later, or you can maybe look at some other information online. Monocropping is not the answer. Big agriculture is not the answer. We're not doing this for the money. We're doing this to clean the air, to clean the soil, and to clean the environment, because remember what I talked about earlier, how those frequencies that the FCC chooses to use as carrier waves for our communications devices, and the most harmful frequencies are chosen. Same thing with the music. It used to be 432 hertz, kind of vibes throughout the classical music era, and now look at this stuff they call music these days. It's all this 440. So it's 440 hertz is actually detrimental or deleterious to biological life and the energy frequencies that need to be maintained for a healthy, physical, emotional, mental, psychological, and spiritual person. So this plant would introduce some of these frequencies, these geometric patterns, into the field that we occupy, whether that's you plant it in the middle of a city so it can sequester some of the carbon from the traffic. It's going to put that vibe out there in the city. If you plant it out in the country somewhere, it's going to increase the vibration, or the frequency is going to change of the space that you're in. So it's going to be more vibrant, more life-affirming, more just in general a good frequency, a good vibe, so that we and our children can grow up and achieve their highest potential, right? Now, that's what the plant does, even if you don't cut it down. I'm just saying. Right there, that's a win, win, win right there, before you've even harvested the plant. Now that you harvest the plant, there's 40,000 major industries that can be created from this, and hundreds of thousands of other cottage industries that follow. So I won't go into details about all the different industries, but suffice to say that it could replace or retool just about every single toxic industry on this planet. And I just don't know how you feel about it, family, but instead of, going down this deleterious path of feeling like we can pretend to be God and we can force nature to bend to our will, and all this kind of self-deceptive, delusional AI mentality. Take the left hemisphere of the brain, the one that controls the right side of the body. That's the masculine side of the brain, right? The left, the intellectual, the scientist, the engineer, these kinds. And marry it up with the right side of the brain, the feminine, the caring, the compassion, the nurturing, creative side. And that little corpus callosum that runs between the two lobes, right? When that freeway is get opened up, and it is get opened up. It is, trust me, it is. Then we can begin to think more holistically and project into the field accordingly. And so in this regard, it's good to really, put the whole AI thing in perspective and just only basically use it as absolutely positively necessary. But if you just want to be entertained, all right, then go on to YouTube and look at this guy who made hemp wood. It took him 3 years of research and development, which is very little amount of time. If you're talking about the first, being the first on the market with a type of industry with a product that no one has ever done before, 3 years for R&D, for prototypes, for experiments, marketing, publicity, manufacturing, and distribution. It took him 3 years, basically. That's unheard of. And now he's producing these hempwood, like basically lumber, if you will, for furniture, for the purposes of furniture, like a hardwood table that would last your family for 2,000 or 3,000 years. Way harder than the Brazilian cherry wood, you know. It can also be alchemically transformed to create lightweight and more durable fuselage for all of the aircraft, which are, you know, right now these antiquated tube-shaped combustion engine caveman things we call airplanes, as far as I can see, are all set to be grounded by the end of this, by the end of the Pachakutik, by the end of this year. And so this door that closes opens up, makes room for one that we can open up. So like whatever is taken away from us, or whether that's flights that are grounded or our money system collapses or whatever, just know that that door has to close before the other one can open up. And we just have to have the courage and the faith, not faith, actually, no. I must clip the wings of reason to make room for faith. I do not recall the name of that intellectual giant that said that. Could be Bertrand Russell, perhaps. Not faith, but rather knowingness, and with the guiding principles that are in alignment with natural law and the natural timeline, in the divine order of things, in a beautiful way, in a human way, in an evolutionary path instead of a devolutionary path, because we are coming out of the Kali Yuga. It's just the way it is. It's the cycle. The time does not move on a linear. That's a concept. 2020, 2021. That's a concept. Let it go. Time moves in cycles and circles. Or rather, the experience moves in cycles and circles. So use this esoteric knowledge of the ancestors. Gaze upon the calendar of the Mayans and the Aztecs. And listen to some of the stories of the ancestors that talk about this kind of stuff, because, you know, they possessed holistic intelligence. I mean, they were much smarter than the so-called modern human. So anyhow, yeah, it could be used to make fuselages for anti-gravity vehicles. Oh, did I say that out loud? Anti-gravity vehicles, yes. But baby steps. So the fuselage of the aircraft that will be taking the place of the antiquated heavy combustion engine vehicle type that we have parked, you know, because it's just caveman technology. It's not appropriate to use that anymore. What else? Hempcrete, you know, everything, just about everything, all this toxic concrete. Do you even know what that is, family? Like, our ancestors live in the mountains. The spirits of our ancestors live in the mountains. And when we go in there and dynamite it and blow it up and take bulldozers to it and heavy equipment and scrape it all out and scratch out the core of Mother Earth, like not the core, but like the veins and the nervous system arteries and things that run through the nickel, the ore, the copper, the gold, the silver, the cadmium. These things are buried in the mountain in divine order for a good reason, because they're toxic. So we would not need to continue down that path. We would be able to think of all the things that are styrofoam, all the things that are made out of plastic bottles, the still takeaway, which got hugely popular in the days of the certificate of vaccination ID games that were going on. You know, everybody was afraid of their own shadow running away from a virus that doesn't exist and calling for takeout, you know. and all those styrofoam containers, like everything that's made with paper, plastic, or other byproducts of the petrochemical industry can all be replaced with this plant. Just alchemically transform it with whatever natural materials. This material can obviously also be used to create bioconstruction designs for our homes, our offices, our work centers, our shopping malls, or whatever we build, right? It's breathable, it's fireproof, it's a living organism, it's alive, it's putting off energy, a very high vibe, I might add. This plant is extremely high vibe. It's like similar to the vibration of the Sri Yantra, if you're familiar with that. It's like right up there with Om, right? The vibration of this is just pure beauty, and this plant is just, it's amazing. I can't say enough about it. So go out there and see what you can find. There's all kinds of industries that are already underway, and the market is wide open for, I would say out of the 40,000 major level industries that are potential for this plant in the United States, that the market is probably less than 10% occupied. So that's not wide. I mean, it's wide open. It's not novel. It's not new. You may not be the first one in the market, and that's fine, because maybe we need more than one guy that makes hardwood furniture and tongue and groove hardwood flooring. Imagine walking on that instead of like a concrete floor or some other, synthetic material. Medicine. There's so many food products, clothing, textiles. I mean, the sky is the limit. This plant can be used for so many things. It truly is a very integral part of all the industries of the future. And if you're interested in taking up the banking and finance business, because the Federal Reserve is done. And Florcito agrees. If you don't know who Florcito is, you better go check out that playlist right now. Florcito. So yeah, just so much potential, so much amazing things on the way. So I just want to share that, and that's it for now, family, I guess. Has to be, because it's getting dark. And anyway, Florcito just told me it was a wrap. So all the best until we speak again, family. I might be offline for a while because I am preparing for a move. My mission here is complete in this space, and I shall be relocating to another place. I don't know where, but it will be an opportunity for me to get to my book and get that written and finish up any other online content so I can leave some legacy behind before I check out of the skin suit. I come in on an 11 and I go out on a 9, so I choose. And I may not know the exact hour, but the one thing I do know is that death is always my companion. And every moment of my life is preparation for death. And my preparation for death is to go into my cosmic midnight hours and navigate the very confusing bardos with ease and with grace and with harmony, with resonance, with clarity, with having achieved, the objective of my soul contract and what I came here to do. And then, that's it. Death is really not that big of a deal, family. But now, having said that, I just want to reiterate, I am not suicidal. So, and I want to also point out that I have a pretty good dead man switch. So I guess that's about it, family. I will leave that with you, and I I hope, especially the younger ones, you guys will, the ones in the spring and the summer of your life will take up these ideas and perspectives and put them to use and create some beautiful things and pave the way, right? For this fifth world of peace. And here we go, family, right? So hang in there and know that everything is in divine order, that you, the source connected co-creator, are writing the script, picking out the props, choosing the actors. You're doing it all. But are you doing it with discernment and knowingness? Or are you doing it without discernment and knowingness? Are you balanced within your hemispheres of your brain? Are you holistically intelligent? Do those two line up? When I said that earlier about the feminine and the masculine needs to be in alignment so that they give what they give birth to is this geometrical shape of life here, huh? And I'm not talking about the procreative act of giving physical birth to another human being, but I'm talking about the regenerative power that we have, the generative power that we have within ourselves to create things in the world. Ideas, projects, designs, blueprints, music, painting, everything. Yeah, it's a big responsibility, free will choice. It is a huge privilege. And it should be wielded with discernment, knowingness, and reverence for that privilege of free will choice, and for the regard of the sacred imagination, the mind's eye, the third eye, the eye of Horus, the seed and seat of all that's created. Yeah, that's a wrap. All right, family. Until we speak again, I will see you in the dream world. Ciao for now.